What's that sound? Who is that animal? Where are they? Did it break? I don't want to leave. You can't make me. Welcome back, fellow gamers. Today we return to exploring the terrifying side of Animal Crossing, the non-intentional terrifying side, I'm sure. But still, even in the happy, sunny world of Animal Crossing, there is lots to be startled by. From the sky, to the trees, to the sandy beaches, to the occasional waterfall that might appear on your island. Opportunities for you to get spooked or for a phobia to be triggered lurk just beyond the edge of your visible screen. I'd say corner, but there aren't a ton of corners for things to lurk around in this game. There are rocks for them to hide under though. Join me today as we count down the top 10 scary phobias Animal Crossing could trigger. Part 2. That's right, part 2. So if you haven't already watched our part 1, be sure to check it out as well for even more scary phobias. And if you love the world of Animal Crossing, be sure to show it by giving this video a thumbs up. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, Macrophobia. Because the world of Animal Crossing syncs up with real-world time, there are instances in the game where you have to wait for things to progress. Sometimes you have to wait a day or longer for changes in the game to come about, especially in New Horizons where being on an island is cited as the reason for delay. After all, building materials or anything else you need to accomplish construction projects would in theory need to all be flown in before the assembly process could even begin. Macrophobia is the fear of long waits, and this phobia is one that could be triggered by delays in the game. If this is a fear that bothers you, you may find the only way possible to play Animal Crossing is by relying on time travel to accomplish tasks in the game much more quickly, avoiding any wait. Number 9, Nyctophobia. Those who are afraid of the dark might find playing Animal Crossing at night impossible and may need to surround their home in the game with tons of illuminating items. Without any lights purchased or placed in your home, it will be permanently dim lit and dark in there, especially in some of the earlier Animal Crossing games where your home may not have any windows. At night, your town or island will also get dark to reflect the time of day, and while you can still see, and on some nights will even have stars visible, those with a severe fear of the dark may still find the nighttime too unsettling a time to play, and may only find themselves able to play the game during the day, for fear of what could be lurking in the shadows of the nighttime darkness. Number 8, Graphophobia. Graphophobia is the fear of writing, or of handwriting. As Animal Crossing is a video game, there isn't much opportunity to receive or send handwritten materials. However, you can type in the game, read, and post or send community messages or letters. The idea of writing these or reading or receiving them may trigger the fear of graphophobia in players. This doesn't take away a huge element of the gameplay, but receiving mail is how you receive some online store orders for clothing and furniture in the game. So that might be problematic. Might make you afraid of opening your mailbox a little. Number 7, Dranophobia. Messages received in bottles and gifts shot down from the sky may also trigger those who have this phobia. Dranophobia is the fear of opening presents, and receiving and acquiring presents is part of the world of Animal Crossing. Usually, what one fears is that the contents of the gift will be something dangerous or unpleasant. The act of opening the present and the suspense that comes along with it may be felt to be so severe that the player may find themselves tossing out presents, as they are unable to face the idea of opening any that they find or receive. Not everyone likes surprises, even if it's nicely wrapped. Number 6, Hylophobia. Pocket Camp and many of the other Animal Crossing titles could trigger this fear. In Pocket Camp, you have your own campsite and tent, and are implied to be out camping. For those who fear forests, this could be a big problem. Most people with hylophobia also have a fear of being attacked out in the wilderness, and the idea that you are out in the middle of nowhere in Pocket Camp might be too much for some players to take. Alternatively, just the trees that surround you in other Animal Crossing titles on your island or in your town might be enough to make those with hylophobia feel that their character is somewhat in a forest, despite the fact that the area around them is actually somewhat populated. Like, you have neighbors and stuff. You're not out in the middle of nowhere, but still a lot of trees. Number 5, Fructophobia. Sounds like it could be some kind of weird cereal. Fructophobia, the fruit cereal that bites back. Get it? Because it's like a fear, so it's gotta be scary fruit, right? Fructophobia is the fear of fruit, which usually revolves around the fear of fruit being infested with bugs and the fear of eating seeds. People usually fear eating seeds because they're concerned that the seeds will somehow germinate in their stomach and grow inside them. Of course, this is not possible. Still, people fear what they fear. The idea of eating fruit to increase your strength in the game could concern those with the fear of consuming seeds. And the fear of infested fruit could be strengthened by the fact that bugs sometimes fall out of trees or land on them. Number 4, chronophobia. Chronophobia is the fear of time, and players with this fear may find it hard to play video games at all, let alone Animal Crossing. Time is kind of a concept in a lot of video games. The passing of time is what troubles those suffering from chronophobia the most, and video games can also make time feel as though it may be flying by, which could be problematic. In Animal Crossing, the passing of time also syncs up with our own, only making those with this fear more aware of it. Although you can time travel in order to detach the feeling of the game from the real world passage of time, this likely won't do much to help those who suffer from this phobia, as it will still leave players looking at the clock and date, which may add to their anxiety. Number 3, botanophobia. Botanophobia is the fear of plants. This fear is often considered irrational as, plants don't usually do much in the way of causing harm to humans, so there's not much reason to be scared of them. In fact, without trees and plants on the planet's surface, we would not be able to live. Plants both provide a source of food for us and other creatures, and help to clean our air, taking in CO2, and in return giving us oxygen. Sweet, sweet oxygen, which then we breathe in. But just because a fear seems irrational doesn't mean that it still can't manifest. So, what are people afraid of when it comes to plants? Usually that the plants will come to life and eat you, or that the plants will overgrow and overtake their victims, suffocating them. Weeding is a big part of Animal Crossing, as your island will usually end up slowly being covered in weeds if you leave the game for too long, or choose to simply not pull up all the weeds that have appeared. The idea of weeds covering your town or island could indeed trigger this fear within you. That, or the fact that planting trees and caring for flowers is a regular part of the everyday world in Animal Crossing. You might have to make sure your island has no trees or no anything, but then you won't be able to craft anything. Number 2, Aquaphobia. For those who are afraid of insects that fly, swarm, and sting like bees and wasps, Animal Crossing might prove to be a little too scary. These insects have been known to be one of the few antagonizing things in the game. Originally, when shaking trees looking for rewards like bells, it was a bee's nest that could fall out and cause the player to run in fear. If the bees that flew out of the nest at you caught you, they would sting you and your eye would appear all swollen for some time or until you took some medicine. This has since been changed in the game, and if you are playing New Horizons, you'll likely notice that it's not bees that fall out of the tree, but wasps that end up falling out of the tree and will swarm you. If you're afraid of getting stung, you can always keep your net at the ready, as it is possible to actually catch the wasps before they can sting you. However, those who suffer from severe aquaphobia will likely find themselves unable to do so, as they may instead find themselves paralyzed with fear, or find themselves hesitant to shake trees to begin with, preferring simply to not put themselves at risk. And I can't blame them. Number 1, aquaphobia. On part 1 of this list, we talked about another similar fear to this one, thalassophobia, the fear of oceans, deep bodies of water, waves, sea creatures, and even potentially sea monsters, and how this relates to the world of Animal Crossing, particularly the newest installment, New Horizons, because you're on an island. But there are lots of other sources of water in the games, which is why today we are broadening that fear to aquaphobia, the fear of water in general. This isn't just the fear of deep water. This fear could be triggered by any of the little rivers or creeks that you fish in, or by the sight of a waterfall. In fact, even the idea of water within an aquarium or your watering can could freak you out. Where does all the water miraculously come from in your watering can, by the way? Does it just poof because it's empty? How come you can never seem to need to refill it? Pascal himself in Pocket Camp can be attracted to your campsite when you build his kiddie pool in the game. When he stops by, he can be seen floating around in the inflatable pool, which also might be enough to terrify you if you develop this fear of water. Which is sad, because Pascal's super cute. Thank you so much for watching. Is there anything that scares you in the world of Animal Crossing? If so, what are you afraid of, and what did you find triggering about it? What is your favorite Animal Crossing villager to run into? Do you have a favorite Animal Crossing in-game holiday? Let us know in the comments below. And while you are on your way down there, be sure to smash that subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay in the know on all of our gaming lists. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. reminding you to keep on shaking those trees and keep on gaming on. Pew pew! Where does all the water miraculously come from in your watering can, by the way? Does it just poof because it's empty? How can